Hey there, Ryan. Hope you're doing great. Just going to make a quick video to offer you some feedback on your latest AP practice essay. This was the prose prompt, I believe, from 2005. It was about McTeague, the unsanitary dentist. And I believe the prompt asked you to talk about the narrator's attitude towards McTeague and how that attitude is portrayed through the author's use of things, I believe, such as diction, syntax, tone, and selection of detail. Okay, so since this is the first one of these videos that I've made for you, I'll just give you a quick run through of what these videos look like. I try to make them as short as possible, so I speak pretty quickly when I can. So if there's any point where you don't understand what I'm saying, or I'm just not making sense, and you need additional clarification on anything I've said in this video or anything that I've marked on your essay, as always, just come up to me in class. I'll be more than happy to go over it with you. When I make these videos, I start with the things that the essay does well. I talk about those, the strengths I see in your writing, and then I shift to weaknesses or areas for improvement that I've noticed, and then I wrap it up with a score, and I try to explain why I gave it the score that I did. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with the things that the essay does well. What I'm particularly impressed by in your essay is the flow in between paragraphs. So you have some short, crisp paragraphs, but your writing just kind of flows really smoothly between the points. And it's one of the it's something that a lot of writers your age struggle with, finding out how to kind of create this what's the word I'm looking for? This force for your paper to kind of flow from point to point naturally, so it doesn't feel so forced. It doesn't feel mechanical when you move in between paragraphs. It doesn't feel like you're just inserting a transition word in here and plugging this word in because you need to put a transition in. Your writing does seem to in fact flow naturally from sentence to sentence. Part of that is because of the transitions in between paragraphs. You've got furthermore and lastly. But again, it's more than just the transitions. The writing just seems to flow well in between sentences and in between paragraphs. So good job on that. That is something that, again, that people struggle with a long time to kind of develop. So excellent job on that. If we move into the things that you focus on, I feel like you did a good job focusing on all of the different things that the prompt provided. Again, you don't have to use every single thing that the prompt provides. I think you do in this one, but just as a rule of thumb for future essays in which your time, don't feel like you have to hit all 4 points. If you can hit 2 well, that will suffice. But you do a good job of hitting detail, tone, diction, and syntax. I feel like you did a good job of making an interesting claim here that the tone of the prompt was somber. Good vocab choice there. And then, yeah, I was really intrigued by this claim that you make here. The somber tone helps reflect the narrator's thoughts. The McTeague is sluggish, slow, and stupid. It's a really thoughtful sentence. I would have liked to have seen you carry it a bit further, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And then I feel like you did a good job for the most part of following slice format. You had quotes from the text in each individual paragraph, and that bodes well for you. So you've got kind of all the parts that you need to be successful on this essay are in here. The ingredients are in here. You've got topic sentences, you've got concrete details, you've got commentary. Okay, let's talk about areas where the essay could be strengthened, or areas where the writing feels less ideal than it otherwise could be. I have marked a few things here. These numbers, they're a code that I use for grammar errors. By the time you're watching this video, you should have the handout. I'm going to be giving you a handout in class that explains what these are. The main one that I saw going on in your paper was 26, which I mark every time I see the word very. You have the word very twice in your first 2 sentences, and very, I think you've heard me rail against it in class before. It's useful. It's a useful word in that it's an easy kind of go-to word. It's like the adverb that we can use for any situation. We can just slap this adverb on and it'll make it automatically very bad, right? But when it comes to writing academically or just even in thinking, try and get out of the habit of using the word very. It's used so much that it essentially means nothing. right? And in this instance, it's, the sentence is better off if you just get rid of the word very. What does it mean to criticize someone very harshly? It's either harsh or it isn't, right? So harshly here functions just fine on its own. You can just say the narrator critiques McTeague harshly, and the sentence is fine. So avoid the word very, and that's a small thing, but that'll go a long way. I've got other ones on here. I'll let you go through and pick these apart and look at the worksheet because I want to talk about the main issue going on here, and it's kind of bigger than just basic grammar errors. The main point is that your essays are too underbaked. They're not developed enough. So you hit all 4 points, but you're kind of jumping around in between them, and you're not going in depth into any single one of them. And when we talk about essays that score on kind of the upper level, those essays pick 1 or 2 things and they go really in depth. The quality of these essays is determined largely by your commentary, right? If you can provide thoughtful commentary that answers the prompt kind of in nuanced or subtle or different ways, you're good. But you typically only have 1 sentence of commentary per paragraph, right? So we have these very short paragraphs. We get some, for example, in your first body paragraph, we get some good evidence in here, and then you just say he gives him credit for opening a store and being content with just a small 1-room dental parlor. What you need to do is delve into kind of the complexity here, that there seems to be a contradictory nature between how the narrator feels about McTeague's work ethic and how he feels about his ambitions, right? So on the one hand, the narrator seems to appreciate McTeague's work ethic, right? And as you say, he gives him credit. But there's other instances in here where the narrator understands that McTeague is deluded, that McTeague does not have the ability to do the things that he wants to do, namely to be a high-end dentist, right? And we know that through several details that he provides us, that McTeague works hard, but he's unsanitary, right? He's pulling people's teeth out with his bare hands. He's sleeping in his office, right? What kind of person is going to go to this dentist, right? He's not going to be able to be super successful. And you want that, all of that I just said, you want that to be the focus of your essay. The evidence and the topic sentences are good, but the ratio of analysis or reasoning or commentary, as I call it in slice format, to your evidence needs to be at least 2 to 1. Right now it's 2 to 1 the other way. So you give me a bunch of evidence and then 1 sentence of commentary. So I have 2 sentences of evidence, 1 sentence of commentary. It actually needs to be flipped. For every 1 piece of evidence, you need to shoot for at least 2 sentences of commentary. That'll get you to the 5 to 6 range. The 7 to 9 range, they write whole paragraphs of analysis. Okay, I'm not expecting you to be there yet, but this is the main thing. If you don't take anything else out of this video that I want you to focus on, you need more commentary, because the paragraphs by themselves they're too small overall. There are 3 to 4 sentences, and the reason why is because there's not enough commentary. So when we get into scoring, the main reason why I scored it the way I did has to deal with kind of the lack of commentary. And then I'll give you a one other thing here where I think I talked about this earlier in the things that the essay does well. This claim here, where you talk about the tone, the somber tone helps reflect the narrator's thoughts that McTeague is sluggish, slow, and stupid. That is an interesting claim. I'm not sure that it's right, but I'm also not sure that it's wrong. What I am sure about is that you don't provide any additional reasoning here. That's a cool claim, right? That struck me as very interesting, but there's no reasoning to support it. You just kind of say it and walk away. How do you know that the somber tone reflects the narrator's thoughts, that McTeague is sluggish, slow, and stupid? Give me additional sentences that explain that, right? Make your case, because that strikes me as a topic sentence, right? This is a better topic sentence for this paragraph than this one here, right? The tone of the essay is pretty somber. That's an okay topic sentence, but it's not a topic sentence that answers the prompt. This one does. But again, you never really kind of develop those claims. You just kind of say, here's some evidence, the tone is somber, and then this somber tone reflects the narrator's thoughts that McTeague is sluggish, slow, and stupid. We're kind of missing some additional reasoning here to explain why that's the case. And that's tricky. Again, that'll take some thinking, right? And some clever writing, but it's doable. And then for now, I don't think I've gone over syntax in class. I've gone over it a little bit, but I haven't gone over how to analyze it. Don't worry about analyzing syntax right now, because it's something that you're going to have practice on. It doesn't come naturally. You say you're going to talk about it in your last paragraph, but you don't. And then it feels like kind of a missed opportunity. And the paragraph is good enough about diction. You do a great job of analyzing diction. Okay, so stick with diction for now. We're going to go over syntax sometime later in the semester. Again, that's a tricky thing to do, kind of like point of view. It's hard to analyze point of view sometimes. So for now, I'd advise staying away from that until we've really gone in depth on it. If you want, I can show you how to do that individually if you're interested in expanding this a bit. But for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, I've rambled on long enough. Apologies. This is a great start. I've estimated your score as a 3. It's in the 3 to 4 range. I feel like all you need to push it to a 4 is just some additional writing. It's too short and underdeveloped. And then to get it to that 5 range, we need to have some ample analysis here that actually addresses the prompt. I didn't mention this in the video, but there are times where I feel like you kind of wander away from what the prompt is asking for, namely the characterization of McTeague and how the narrator